Welcome to the fourth part of the Rainworld room tier list. In this series, I will rate all the rooms in Rainworld, region at a time. Today's region is Drainage System. It has 52 rooms and 89 screens, including 4 karma gates and shelters, which makes it one of the smallest regions, not including Watcher's regions at least. Saint and Watcher don't have access to a region, and Rivulet starts his campaign here. The region is very wet, so many aquatic creatures appear here. Most slugcats won't find anything too dangerous. The science that the carnivores find can be a problem though. They also have a lot of dropwigs. As the region is underground, vultures do not appear here. The lineages and pre-cycles are pretty standard. I don't have anything else to say about them. A little reminder on the slugcats and their crystals. Okay, let's go. Gate DSGW is the karma gate connecting drainage system and garbage wastes. Going to drainage requires 3 karma, while going to garbage only takes 1, meaning it's always accessible. That is very good, as being stuck in drainage would be kind of miserable. I'll give it a B. DSB10 is a double screen room. It has different kinds of fruit and the gold token. It's just kind of there, so you don't have to go out of your way to grab it. I find it interesting that Gourmand of all slugcats has bubbleweed here. It has a normal lung capacity, so I'm not exactly sure why they let it have some and not Survivor. It makes sense for a monk to have them though, as by default it has a lower lung capacity than average. In case you don't know, bubbleweed lets you breathe underwater for about 25 seconds. The exact amount depends on the weed. Anyway, I'll give it a C, and it just kind of exists. DSCO3 is a triple screen room. It is filled with water, so the slugcat has to swim from one air pocket to another. As Spearmaster and Artificer, the water level goes up and down. Artificer's lung capacity is very low, so without that, drainage would be impossible for it. There's a few rooms like this in drainage, and I think they're all pretty uninteresting. You just kind of swim, and let's just say swimming is not the reason most people love this game, me included. I guess this one is fine. C tier for now. DSCO1 is a triple screen room. It is very tall. The bottom screen has a large amount of red leeches, though Rivulet has 25 jungle leeches instead. This is an insane amount of them. Be very careful if you have slug pups with you, as if a leech attaches to them while they're on your back, they will fall into the water. It can be very challenging to save them if that happens, but luckily I managed. Gourmand and Monk can find more bubbleweeds here. I still don't get why Gourmand gets them too, but whatever. The top screen requires you to take a big detour to get to if you're on the bottom screen. If you want to go to the other side, you need to throw some things to make the jump. If you fail, you will be back in the leech hell. There is a shelter in the middle screen, but I'll talk about it once I can actually access it. C tier room. Failing the jump at the top sucks. DSDO1 is a 4 screen room. It's not a long room that's filled with water. At least the middle screens have a little area you can rest on. I don't exactly know why Hunter randomly has 2 less bubble fruit, but at least the bubbleweed characters make more sense. There's a bright green pearl here. Looks to the Moon says the following about it. It's an old text. The words are familiar to me, but I can't remember by whom they were written. The language is very old and intricate. The first verse starts by drawing a comparison between the world and a tangled rug. It says that the world is an unfortunate mess. Like a note, the nature of its existence is the fact that the parts are locking each other, none able to spring free. Then as it goes on, the world becomes a furry animal hide, I suppose. Because now us living beings are like insects crawling in the fur. And then it's a fishing net. Because the more we struggle and squirm, the more entangled we become. It says that only the limp body of a jellyfish cannot be captured in the net. So we should try to be like the jellyfish, because the jellyfish doesn't try. This was an eternal dilemma to them. They were burned by great ambition, yet deeply convinced that striving in itself was an unforgivable vice. They tried very hard to be effortless. Perhaps that's what we were to them. Someone to delegate that unrestrained effort to. I know I have tried very hard. Well, 5 Pebbles says. This is an archival text from before the Green Hegemonic Linguists Dynasty's second revelation. The text itself is an early tome of hymns and spiritual guidance, forming an early understanding of the 5 natural urges that bind oneself to the cycle. As is to be expected from the text from this era, it is washed in metaphor and symbolism. Although my kind was built for pragmatism, I've always had a fondness for my creator's history. The first iterators, during the golden age of the Void Fluid revelation, lived through the metamorphosis of scripture and verged into the first age of understanding. To be created in, or experience such an age is something I greatly envied. Thank you, citizen. Nothing else to say about the room. See it here. DSBO1 is a double screen room. The song that plays here is called Old Growth. Coming here from DO1 is kind of annoying, as you will be in the water box that has leeches. To escape, you must swim up and use the pipe on the right. Sometimes a snail might be blocking it, which can be really bad, as you cannot breathe there. The other parts of the room aren't anything too interesting. I'll give it a C tier. DSA14 is a single screen room. I wouldn't go through it. It has leeches that are hard to avoid due to the geometry of the room. I'll give it a D because of that. I might have to add an E tier because I don't think it's as bad as something like GWA14. DSA25 is a single screen room. It has 3 pits that are filled with water. Some of them have leeches and a new plant, the lily puck. They grow in water and they can be thrown like a spear, but they deal less damage and aren't reusable. Even Saint can harm creatures with them. You can also eat them for a food pip. There is also a blue token for the bubbleweeds here, outside of Monk at least. No idea why it is excluded when it has the most bubbleweeds here, but whatever. I'll give this one a C too. DSBO8 is a double screen room. It's the bare minimum. It is at least useful if you fail the jump in CO1, so it's not completely useless. I'll put this one in D tier. Again, this is better than some other D tier rooms, so I will definitely need to add an E tier. DS Gutter 01 is a double screen room. The song that plays here is called Breathing Hyometer. The left has nothing too special, while the right has some balls above a pool of water. If you mess up a jump, the leeches will come for you. It looks nice, but still C tier. DS Gutter 02 is a triple screen room. It is tall. There are many poles which you must use to climb to the top. I actually quite like it. There's something about the vibe of the room that's good. I'll put it in B tier. DS Gutter 03 is a 6 screen room, which makes it the largest room in the region. The screen on the right leads to the middle screens, which are exactly like the previous room. There are 3 screens on the left. Going up leads to the chimney canopy karma gate. There might be some drop wigs lurking around, so watch out for those. I think it's a pretty good room. B tier. DS Gutter 04 is a double screen room. It has 2 tanks on the left, which are connected by pools of water. The right side of the room often has scavengers. The region doesn't have a large scavenger presence, only having up to 10 as roulette and 3 as most. Artificer does have 8 though, so it may be difficult to get past this part if they happen to all be there. I'll give it a C. DS Riv Start is a triple screen room. As you might be able to guess, Rivulet starts its journey here. 2 explosions happen off screen and a dead scavenger falls into the water, along with Rivulet. After that you are free to go. You'll find 6 blue fruit on the left side, which is enough to fill all your food pips. The middle screen is completely filled with water, which means other slugcats cannot make it to the other side without help. There's also a hazer there. This is one of the few hazers that actually spawns in water. You can see it swimming around, ignoring the slugcat. The right side is accessible to all slugcats and it has more fruit than a karma flower. A very nice start to Rivulet's campaign. I'll give it a B tier. DS Gutter 05 is a double screen room. It is shaped like a mirrored S. There are a lot of mushrooms here, and the scavengers also like to roam around here. Did they grow these mushrooms? Well, there's some food too. Another C tier. DS821 is a single screen room. It has 4 poles in the middle, but watch out! The one on the right is a pole mimic. The scavengers also roam in here. You can find the blue token for hazers on the top of the room. That's about it. C tier. DSSO2L is a small shelter. I have no idea what the L in the name means. Not only is it lowercase, which is not common in rune names, there's another shelter that has a lowercase r on it, which leads me to believe they're supposed to be left and right, except this shelter is on the right side of the region, and the other one is on the left side? Anyway, I was got softlocked here as Spearmaster. A Scion Lizard got into a shelter and killed me instantly when I woke up. I thought creatures were supposed to be either friendly or sleep for longer than you, so this wouldn't happen, but I guess not. Here's a little compilation of that. The only reason why I got out of the cycle is because I had a rock in the shelter. Hunter instead found another slug pup here. They have not been named yet, but I'll try to take good care of them. Having 2 slug pups is significantly harder than having just 1 though. You only have 1 hand free, so you cannot use the classic spear and rock combo against lizards. Not to mention both slug pups require at least 2 food per cycle. As Hunter, it is luckily not an issue as it doesn't eat plants anyway. The shelter itself is okay. It's kind of annoying because you can't access it if coming from garbage wastes. There are definitely better shelters around here. C tier. DSCO4 is a triple screen room. It has a lot of turning pipes which you will have to climb. At the top you will see either a monster kelp or a whole red centipede as Spearmaster. I like to pile up spears in the pipes and then lure the centipede there for an easy kill. I tried to do that and it ambushed me before I had enough spears, so I was killed, which put me back in the Cyan Lizard cycle. Oopsie. The monster kelp covers the right side of the room, so if you come here through CO1, you'll have to deal with it. If you come here through BO8, you don't have to deal with it, so I guess that's the better path? Anyway, I'll give the room a C. DS BO7 is a double screen room. Let me just say, the 3 Cyans and Dropwigs are not fun with 2 slug pups. This room is the only real source of food when going from the previous shelter to the next. Sure, I could have eaten 6 snails or whatever, but that's really annoying as it would fling my slug pups everywhere, and if there are leeches in that room, then it could end horribly. Anyway, outside of the carnivores, the creatures here aren't anything notable. The room itself looks quite nice. Despite all my rage, I'll give it a B. Oh, wait, I almost forgot to talk about salamanders. Salamanders are an aquatic type of lizard. They have 2 major color variants, light and dark. The former is the more common variant. Salamanders are capable of climbing poles and they have the ability to dive underwater. They're a lot like E-lizards, though they don't glow underwater, which can cause them to be quite stealthy. They also have no problem going out of the water. They have a small tongue they can use to try grab onto their prey. Their combat stats aren't anything impressive, so killing them is a viable choice, though I'd recommend luring them out of the water first. DSA08 is a single screen room. The Cyans from the previous room like to come here, which is kind of annoying. Luckily, the top of the room often has some objects, which you can use to take care of them. The bottom part has water and either monster kelp or a pole mimic, and snails. Watch out for them as they might bounce you into the kelp. You can use the poles at the top to avoid them. There's also a lineage here. The first one yet, and it's boring. C tier. DSSO4 is a small shelter. It's in a fine spot. I'll give it a B, though there is a better shelter. DSBO4 is a double screen room. The song that plays here is called The Wet Moist. Alright. It has some lily pucks on the right along with a salamander blue token. The left side of the room is a lot like Gutter 01. You'll likely find some scavengers there. C tier. DSA19 is a single screen room. The middle of the room has a dark green broadcast. Let's listen to it. Live broadcast. Equipment manifest. Wide area equipment failures are approaching unsafe thresholds. Notice. Estimated time to installation failures at 90 plus cycles. Module advises immediate repairs within the next 30 cycles. I guess it did really fail, as the water level stays mostly still after Artificer. The room has a lot of batflies and possibly some scavengers. The scavengers seem to only be around rooms that have mushrooms. That's all I have to say about this one. C tier. DSA09 is a single screen room. There's another helicopter on the bottom right of the room. Takes me back to the good old days of Outskirts. Anyway, sometimes a dropwick might get stuck in there. I have no idea how it happens, as there should be no way to get inside, but the dropwick does it anyway. C tier. DS823 is a single screen room. It has a karma flower, only for the first 2 characters. I'm not sure if any other room is like that. You might also find some centipedes as those characters. I really like the vibe of this room. I'll put it in B tier for that. DSA15 is a single screen room. A lot of mushrooms around these parts. One of them even grows inside a pipe. Other than that, it has some pipes? Maybe some centipedes? That's all I got. C tier. DS822 is a single screen room. It has a green lizard and maybe some dropwigs. Very average. Here's the lineage. Better than the previous one. Just watch out and don't summon another Cyan. C tier. DSBO2 is a double screen room. The song that plays here is called Mud Pits. It's very similar to BO1 actually. I managed to make the green lizard fall into one of the water pits. It cannot get out on its own, so it'll just be swimming there until the rain comes. I'll give it a C. Gate SUDS is the karma gate connecting outskirts and drainage system. As we'll rewind through outskirts, we will cover the gate now. You need 4 karma to enter drainage and 6 to enter outskirts, so the requirement is quite high if you're in outskirts. That is good though, as it discourages new players from coming here. I've heard many stories of new players getting stuck in drainage. It even happened to one of my friends. I think that is a part of the reason why a lot of people don't really like drainage, though I'm not saying it doesn't have other issues too. I think this gate is actually pretty useful as Saint though. Spoilers for the next video, but Saint's version of drainage is a place where you'd actually want to go. I'll give it a C tier. I'd probably give it a D if Saint didn't exist. DS826 is a single screen room. It has a pit that usually has a lizard patrolling. You must avoid it with either the balls or the blocks. The connection to the next room is quite unique, as I don't think there's too many room connections that are in the middle of the room. Pretty cool. Here's the lineage. Do not kill the salamander, or you will be punished. I'll give it a C here. DS801 is a single screen room. You can find the red token for the region here. You can also find some bat flies for food if you need it. Other creatures come here very rarely, so you can relax for a second. You know, I think the background of rooms is very important. Something about this feels nice. I'll give it a B tier because of that. DS802 is a single screen room. It has 10 adult centipedes. 10! That's a ridiculous amount! They will often spread out into nearby rooms, so you won't see many of them here, unless you come right after hibernating. Other than that, it's nothing special. It does have this lineage. Just one of the centipedes is affected, but good luck finding out which one it is. C tier. DSBO3 is a double screen room. It has 3 pits. The left leads to a shelter, the middle leads to hell, and the right leads back to A14. Before downpour, the right pad had no pole, meaning if you fell in, you couldn't get back up. It's very good that they added a pole. Sometimes a lizard from a nearby room might come here, which can be really annoying if they decide to chill in one of the pits. Still, it's a pretty good room, as you can go anywhere you want from here. I see it as the middle of the region. I'll give it a B tier. DS820 is a single screen room. It has a karma flower and 4 bubble fruit, which is very nice considering it's right outside of a shelter. Creatures also rarely come here because the connection is underwater. I'll give it a B for its usefulness. DSSO1R is an average shelter. It's quite good due to its location and all the trees right outside. It's in the middle of the region, so it's pretty much always going to see some use. B tier for that. DSA16 is a single screen room. The top has balls while the bottom has a hidden lake. You can just ignore it, but it does look pretty nice. You have to either jump on the balls or use a spear to continue to the next room. I'll give it a B based purely on vibes. DSA07 is a single screen room. It has more balls and water at the bottom. Going down is easy enough, but getting back up takes a bit of effort. You must either jump on the balls again or just skip it all through the path on the top. I didn't even realize there was a path you could take. I only noticed this when writing this very script. Damn. Well, I don't know. I prefer the vibes of the previous room. C tier for this one. DSA17 is a single screen room. You have to leave from the left side of the room to the right. I will say, the pole on the right to get to the little platform to continue to the next room is kind of hidden. I didn't notice it until I accidentally started climbing on it. I also want to mention the hazers in the bottom right. They're trapped in there for so long. But I suppose they're safe from danger. It's kind of a funny detail, but I'll give the room a C still. DS824 is a single screen room. It's just a pipe connecting B07, A17 and A11. Nothing special. C tier. DS811 is a single screen room. There's a wide broadcast here. Let's listen to it. Private, 7 red suns. No significant harassment. Do you know how I sent the sensitive information last time? It certainly wasn't over the broadcast network. I purposed a messenger and sent the information by land via data pearl. How original of you. I learned from the best. At least I used it for something more practical. If you call it practical, sure. Look how well things turned out. Regardless, the fact is, the method worked fine last time. The info was delivered, and the messenger even returned safely. So, I've recently sent it out again to deliver another message, despite the close communication lines. With how the situation has evolved, that's going to be quite the dangerous trip compared to before. Again, that may not be an issue. I've outfitted my messenger with all it needs to protect itself. The room itself has some treats for you. 5 pieces of food along with a karma flower is not bad. But that's about it. I guess I'll give it a C. DSA10 is a single screen room. If you've ever been to drainage system, I'm sure you recognize the next few rooms. Because these rooms are not good. There are tanks that have water in them and you must go through them or whatever. It's just so boring. Especially a spearmaster and artificer who have to wait for the water to get low before moving on. I get no joy out of this room. E tier. DSA13 is a single screen room. Guess what the gameplay is? It's like the previous room except worse. Because you might get stuck in the little whatevers in the bottom corners because it can be a little confusing on where you are. I just got scared when I failed to grab the Polis Hunter and almost drowned to the leeches. Luckily I survived, but that was not fun. I'll give this one an E2. DSBO6 is a double screen room. It's more of the same. Every time I entered this room, the boredom really hit. And I entered this room as all 7 characters. Except I had recorded all these rooms back before Watcher came out, so I'm re-recording everything to make it more up to date. So I've gone through this room 14 times, and every single time I felt I didn't want to be here. Mechanically, I guess it's better than the previous rooms, because you have to wait less or something, but I just... no. F tier. I don't care if there's a snail unlock, these things are really annoying anyway. DS826 is a single screen room. There's some music, which is called Swaying Fronds. At least it's not bad. The room is boring, but the worst is behind us. D tier though. DSCO2 is a triple screen room. The room that sealed the fate of my friend and many other slug cats. To my knowledge, if you go to the left side of the room, you cannot return. If there is a way, I don't know it, and neither did my friend. Though, would you want to return to those rooms anyway? The current cycle is probably coming to an end too. Probably better to just keep going. When you inevitably realize your mistake, you will probably fall down. There is some food there, at least, and some bubble fruit. Again, why does Gourmand get it and not Survivor? Ah, whatever. D tier for you. DSDO2 is a 4-screen room. It takes place in a big old pipe. It gets darker the deeper you go. If you use the middle pipe, you should watch out for the monster kelp at the bottom. Though, if you have a spear, you can survive. Just don't get stunned from fall damage. At the lowest screen, you can find a single light in the dark, a lily puck. The room is okay, but it's pretty boring. D tier. DSSO3 is an average shelter. It is attached to a subterranean karma gate. Yes, the endgame region subterranean. The one that a new player has no business going to. I guess I'll talk about the gate when we eventually get to covering subterranean in a few years at this rate. But damn. The shelter is okay, I guess. I mean, if you sleep in it, you're kind of stuck here if you don't know what you're doing. I think this shelter is the reason why my friend had to reset his save file, because he got stuck around these parts. It's not like it's that good for experienced players either, I think. Because the other side of the gate has a shelter too. I'll give it a D. DS827 is a single screen room. It's not anything special, though the unreaching monster kelp is kind of funny. Perhaps it's a joke on how slug cats stuck here will never reach escape either. Just kidding. But really, it's okay. C tier. DSDO3 is a 4-screen room. It's another one of those long rooms that are filled with water. Woohoo! I feel a lot of players get stuck here because they're not used to swimming mechanics. It would have been good to have a bubble weed in CO2 to help with this. Survivor Slug Pup, Crimpler also died here. I don't know how they drowned, but it happened. Now it is stuck in the same cycle as all the new players who never make it out of here. What a fate, Slug Pup. E tier for this room. DSAO5 is his last room for today. It has a lot of leeches, and a blue token for red leeches. At least some snails also appear in case the jungle leeches get you. It's okay, C tier. And that's everything for now. Here's the list with the newly added E tier. No A tiers and the first F tier. Add those to the global tier list and it looks something like this. I'll have to go back and readjust some of the positions as they were chosen based on the lack of E tier. I won't do it here because, well, it's the 1st of September as I'm writing this, and I need to have this out in 3 days. Just so I can keep making the joke of this tier list supposedly being more important than a major indie game release. Well, anyway. Drainage system as a whole? I'm debating between D and C. Sure, it has those rooms, but you can completely ignore them. It's not like the region itself is forced either. I will say, the lack of threat theme is kind of sad, but the songs that play here are good. Even Old Growth, which is kind of scary honestly. I'll keep it in C tier for now, but it could change later. Alright, that's all for this one. Ring the dingy, bingy bingy, and maybe the next one will come eventually. See ya!